Y'all, is dropping the soap a real thing? Because you know how sometimes people have old folks tales and they be like, oh, that stuff is just superstition. It wasn't real and you're not supposed to believe that kind of stuff. But I'm really thinking, like, was drop the soap a real thing? And was it only for men? Because I take a shower every day and I drop the soap. And I'm just really wondering, like, I'll never go to jail. I don't play like that. But I'm just really thinking, like, do girls do that too? Because if so, they would have been tearing my ass up. You know what I mean? Because I drop it every day. Like, it never fails me. It bloop, just slide right out of my hand. Y'all think they would have been tearing up this little tenderoni?
Hello everyone, this is Emmanuel Cook. We will be reacting to a new video today, so make sure you guys like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's get into the video.
I'm telling y'all, some of the toughest guys in prison be gay. Now, let me say this. I'm not coming against anybody that's gay. I'm not saying anything against that, but I'm talking about some of the guys that be in prison. Look, one day when I was in Jackson prison, and I was new, I'd never been to prison before, right? So I'm in prison. I'm walking back to my cell after I've gone through what they call quarantine, where you're in your cell for 23 hours a day. So I spent about 2 months in quarantine, pretty much solitary confinement, right? So one day I'm walking, back to my cell, and I look in my cell before I get there, and there's a piece of candy on my bed. I think it was a Snickers or something like that. So, and I'm like, oh, that was real nice of somebody to, give me a Snickers. And I was about to go in there, and I was about to eat that Snickers, and I don't know where this guy came from. And he was like, bro, do not eat that candy. I was like, why? He said, don't you know in prison they put candy on your bed letting you know that they like you, that they want to get with you? If you eat that candy, you saying that you belong to somebody. And I was like, what? See, I didn't know none of this stuff when I got in prison. And I remember one other time in prison. In prison, when you're in there, every so often they have to do a head count to make sure that nobody's escaped from prison, right? So they're doing a head count at this one time, right? And so they're looking for these two guys and they're missing. So they're thinking that somebody tried to escape, right? So alarms go off, blah, blah, blah. They end up finding, it was this real little guy and this real big guy. They end up finding these guys inside the bathroom stall, and this big guy got this guy off the ground up against the wall, just wearing him out sexually. This is what you see every day. Just one more story. Another friend of mine, man, this was one of the toughest guys in prison. He came from behind the wall. He had just did 10 years behind the wall. Guy was buffed up, man, been down for a long time. And I looked at this dude. I kind of looked up to him, man, because he was hard as a mug. So one day I come upstairs, man. I'm walking up the steps going back to my cell, and there's a little area behind the cell. Here this brother go behind the cell back there wearing this other brother out. And for me at this point, it is like, man, y'all just cut. My thing was, when I went to prison, my first thing was, you ain't getting none of this, but if you're going to get some of this behind, there's going to be some dead cold behind, but you will not touch this.
So I'm pretty sure y'all know already that I used to work in the jails. You know what I'm saying? I did a couple years working as a CO and all that, as a deputy in the jails. And I used to always wonder, I used to go in the pods and dudes be on the phone snapping on mom, snapping on their girlfriend, snapping whoever's on the other line, going crazy. And when they used to hang up, I'd be like, yo, ain't no way. So I was like, yo, I would have hung up on you. As soon as you started snapping, I'm hanging up. Ain't nothing else you can do. What are you gonna do? I'm your help. I'm your help. If you gonna go off immediately, I give you about 5 seconds of going off, and I'm gonna hang up, and then I'll let you call back, and then I'm just, hey, you good now? We gonna talk? As soon as you start snapping, click. That's all you gotta do. But people used to really they used to go off, son. I used to just sit there and watch and laugh. They believe it's not funny. So I'm saying, oh, it is funny, because they're supposed to hang up on you, and sometimes they know that, but they manipulate them so bad, like they got them in a hook. You know what I'm saying? So it used to be crazy. I never understood it. So it used to crack. That was my entertainment, man. Going there, bitch, this, that, fuck you, supposed to do this, you supposed to do that, me on the line, bitch, who or what? Click. Yeah, we're gonna try this again tomorrow. Don't worry about it.
Spent 10 years in prison, been out a few years, and women stink. So I'm going to tell you guys the most shocking thing I found out about females in general that I did not know and would not have known had I not gone to prison for a decade. So when you get to prison, you are forced to take a shower. It's a mandatory shower. You don't have a choice in it. But once you get to your dorm, that's when you will start using the communal showers, the communal toilets, the communal everything, okay? When I got to the dorm that night, I got in the shower. I don't know what it is, but something about there being 8 shower heads and a lot of steam with no windows around and not very good ventilation. Something about all that steam and hot water hitting that really, really cheap lye soap, it just exposes you, okay? If you have anything going on that's not in check, the soap is telling on you. Y'all, when I hit that shower and that night, I looked around and everybody, because I was like, oh my God, am I the only one smelling this? Everyone's like, because that's a face everyone would do to let each other know, yes, we all smell it. It's not just you smelling it. You're not crazy. We all smell it. So I'm looking around and I'm looking at them and they're all like, and I start too, who is it? Well, it's not hard to find out, because once everyone starts to smell it, you will know that the person washing the cooter pack, the fanny pack, that's who's stanking. That's who's stanking it up. So the shower will be the first instance that will tell on somebody and expose them, but it's not the last, because you can also have a toilet incident, okay? If you are in a 2-man cell and you're locked in with somebody, you are going to, you guys have to pee or poo at some point in time, okay? The toilet's in the room with you guys are locked in there all night. You're gonna have to go to the bathroom. Whenever that person sits down and gets up and then flushes, it wafts everything into the air. So you just have these wafting arrays of smells all the time, okay? And when things waft, they wave to you. It waves. It's like a wavy, smelly wave to your direction. So whether you go on the toilet behind somebody else and they leave that lingering smell there, or you're in a cell with somebody, you're gonna smell it on a toilet. I don't know. It's like the toilet just holds the smell. You're gonna smell it. There's also just the random occasions when like women they're sitting on a bed and they just open their legs, or they like do a real like harsh motion. They get momentum and they just get up and then it just wafts out of them and you smell it. Listen, it's not what y'all think. Everything that glitters ain't gold, okay? It's just not. It's not gold. You guys see makeup and hair and clothes and all this as a sign of everything is A1 underneath, and that's just not the case. If I can smell you, I know you can smell yourself, okay? I don't get it. If you have some sort of something going on, digging soap way up in you, trying to like make it smell clean or different, it's not going to help. People out there, beware. Like I said, everything that glitters isn't gold, so beware. There's some stanky seafood buffets walking around out there with some hella good makeup on and some pretty clothes that make their bodies look good. They stink. Be safe. Be stank free. And I love you guys, okay? There's the one thing I learned in female prison that I didn't know about women. See y'all in the next one. Later.
Some people were not taught how to properly take care of themselves. They were not taught how to properly shower and just clean their bodies. And so as they grow up into adults, they smell and they don't know how to really scrub themselves and wash themselves. And their odor just stays for days.
The difference between prison rules and prison culture. Let's get into it. Prison rules are what is established by the prison administration, staff, correctional officers, warden, etc. It's typically what is introduced to you in the form of a handbook and orientation when you get transferred into a new prison. These are the rules that they enforce by writing institutional infractions and giving you charges that could impact your release date, visitation status, and more if you do not abide by said written rules and regulations. Some are more serious than others. For example, arguing with a CO could get you a charge, but fighting with a CO is definitely getting you sent to the hole, and you could also get a street charge. Those are prison rules. But now let's get into prison culture and why that's different. Prison culture is what is established in every single dorm, prison, housing unit, etc. by the prisoners, not the staff or administration. They have their own rules and regulations, culture, etc. that you live by within that housing unit. In every prison, typically in every dorm, the phones, the showers, the kiosks, everything is ran in a system within a certain structure that's established by the prisoners that are housed within that housing unit. Some of these rules that are put in place that I guess represent the prison culture, the culture of that dorm, etc., have been there for years. So yes, somebody's gonna probably say, well, can't I just go against the grain and not move how the dorm is moving? You could, but I guarantee it, you're gonna run into some static. Let me give you an example. In most prisons, the wall phones are controlled by cars, cities, gangs, etc., whatever you want to call it. And of course, that's against prison rules, but due to the prison culture, that's just how it goes. So when you walk into a dorm, typically, if you're somebody that uses the wall phone, you ask, how do they run the phones in here? It's a legit question. And to the, the people that say, I ain't asking nobody none, I'm just going to use the phone. You can do that. But the problem is most phones is attached to a car that's controlling it. That's going to be like an 8-on-1 situation. Yes, it sucks. It shouldn't be like that. But I'm just giving you an example of prison culture versus prison rules. I've been in some prisons and institutions where even the showers were ran with a certain structure. The Christians had it at one time, the Muslims had it at one time, etc., etc. And it was adhered by the prisoners, not because it was a prison rule, but because it was part of the prison culture that was established by the guys that were in that dorm. So that's a very basic breakdown of prison rules versus prison culture. And at the end of the day, how there's rules and regulations within prison. It's a very structured environment where consequences reign supreme. Overall, the moral of the story is to avoid all of that. Stay free. Peace.
I spent all day yesterday inside of a Mexican jail, and I wanted to share some culture shocks that I experienced while I was there as somebody that was previously incarcerated in the US and was just comparing facilities and procedures and rules and all that shit. To give you some background, I toured a very small jail inside of a small town that's called Tequila. This is the jail that is housing the people related to the Rancho Izaguirre case, which was the very viral recent case of the 400 pairs of shoes, and we know that story. Anyway, number one culture shock that I experienced is when they told us that not only are they granted conjugal visits, mind you, these are people that are in jail, the majority of them on preventative prison and have not yet been found guilty. So most of them are awaiting sentences or trials. So they have access to conjugal visits because conjugal visits in the correctional system down here are considered a human right. But what threw me off is that they are granted conjugal visits between each other. So if two inmates, prisoners, whatever we call them, and I'll get to that part next, want to request a conjugal visit together, whether male or female or male and male inside the jail, that's allowed. Number two is people that are being held inside this jail are not referred to as prisoners, detainees, or inmates. They are referred to as people deprived of their liberty. PPL. PPLs is what they're referred to by the correction officers. Number three is they are able to make little artesanias to sell to the public as a way to create a little bit of extra income so they can buy commissary items. So I purchased this for 40 pesos, which is $2, and I bought a bunch of little bracelets like this. This one was 30 pesos. Yeah, so the public can go in there. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say the public, but people that go in there and are coming out, or even correction officers, these are put out for display at the front of at the entrance of the prison or at the jail. Next is they don't have metal detectors to get inside the jail. You are given pat downs by the correction officers. For example, people that are coming to visit for any reason. There's no metal detectors going into the jail. Crazy. And then there's no extensive strip searches. So when a person is sent over to the jail from court to be held for whatever reason, is they are processed and they do have to strip down and like change, but it's not like the invasive pop a squat and bend over type shit that they do in the US. It's very lax. And it's worth mentioning that this is not a maximum security prison, right? This is a jail that just houses people while they are awaiting trial. But even like the metal detector, no metal detector in the bitch. That's crazy.
A quick reminder, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe down below, and let's continue the video.
One of the biggest misconceptions I've noticed people have about people that do a lot of time locked up is that they walk out of prison the same way they walked in. I went to prison at 19 and came home at 40. And when people would say things like, well, you're still like a 19-year-old, that is an extremely misconception and misunderstanding about what prison life is like. Life is ever evolving. It doesn't matter where you are at. It can be prison. It can be the military. It can be a monastery. This is a hot take, but I honestly believe this from my experience and observation that people are developing in prison better than they are out here in the world. The free world is doing more damage to people than prison culture is. One of the things that have really shocked me when I came home was how toxic the free world had become. Not only has toxicity reached a point where it permeates throughout the culture, but people are attracted to it. I've encountered a lot of women since I've been home, and one of the things that I noticed is that toxic traits within men have become attracted to some. They like that shit. You don't walk out of prison the same way you walked in. Now, you can walk out a more counterproductive person than walked in. When I hear people say things like, oh, you walked out of prison basically a 19-year-old, not only is that disrespectful, it's a clear indication they don't understand how human nature works. And honestly, people that have done an extended amount of time in prison need to be more concerned with people that have developed in the free world than people in the free world need to be concerned about people that have developed in prison.
Controversial opinion. I spent 2 years in prison. Do you know what it taught me? It taught me how to be a better criminal. Oh, don't come for me in the comments because I'm not committing a crime now. But the truth is, you cannot take away someone's basic human needs like toiletries and food and treat them inhumanely and not expect them to create an underground economy. If you want to hear more prison stories or what my prison job was, leave me a comment below.
This is one of the things that I hate about prisons. They have to improve the qualities of the facilities. Why in the world is there no privacy in prison? There should at least be stalls where you can shower in peace and do your thing in peace. At least there should be a humane environment for inmates.
Did 27 years in prison, been out 8 years. I'm going to answer that question. I've heard women don't receive proper amount of feminine hygiene products in prison, and some have even slept with guards to get some stuff they need. Now, as far as hygiene, we had access to good hygienes, and you can buy the hygienes off the canteen if you had money. Now, there was indigent inmates that did not have money, and they were indigent, and they would provide them. The state would provide them with hygienes. They had better hygienes than the ones that had money. So on the canteen, they were often, you know, differ in our hygienes. Like this, one day they may bring this type of deodorant, next time the truck come, they'll bring a different type of deodorant or lotion. So we had access to good hygienes. Now sometimes they would bring like gel type deodorant. People didn't want that. People wanted the powder deodorant. So what we would do is we would wait till the work release girls was coming, because we was at the institution, whereas when the other girls come from Gaskin and other prisons around, they have to come to the Florida Receptionist Center, which is Lower Correction Institution, and those girls up in their prison, they used to have better hygienes. Every prison had different hygienes, so everybody will see what prison had what, and we just buy and swap hygienes and stuff like that right there. As far as the inmates messing with the officer, well, some of them did mess with officers to get things such as perfumes, lip glosses, little earrings, little accessories, you know, to make them feel like a woman. And you know, but most of the officer and inmate relationships really consisted of them getting cigarettes, because they had taken cigarettes off the compound, so the inmates didn't have access to cigarettes anymore like they used to. So what they would do is they would get in relationship with the officers in order to get cigarettes on the compound, so they could either sell or smoke. But as far as the hygienes was real easy to get, because around Christmas time they kind of gave us a Christmas packet with different free girl hygienes as well. The chaplain would pass out good hygienes, in which, you know, inmates would buy each other hygienes and stack up on them and everything. Now you know, as far as perfume and everything like that, we were not allowed to have perfume. But what we would do is the ladies that was messing with the officers, they would get little perfume samples from the officers, bring it in the institution, and they would sell them, and we would buy that stuff off of them. And sometimes your family can like subscribe for certain magazines, and the magazines come to you, and you know, inside the magazines they have the little paper samples. So we would also get those and rip them up and put them inside our powder bottle and shake it up, and it would give us a fragrance. Another thing is we had good shampoo. Now, well, majority of the shampoo was VO5 shampoo, so it really didn't do the black girls any justice. So that's one of the things that we would hound people for, is the shampoos, because we didn't have good shampoo. as far as for black women on the canteen. Now the white girls didn't have a problem because it seemed like all the shampoo was good. It was suitable for their hair more so than ours. But you know, hygiene wasn't really a problem. So no, that wasn't really what the girls slept with the officers for, because hygiene was easy. It was just cigarettes. Yeah, they would sleep with them for the cigarettes. And yeah, again, you know, another thing about the hygienes in prison, they had a rule about that. You know, if you didn't keep yourself up, I forgot what it was called, something about it was a DR. A DR is a disciplinary report where they write you up and it can affect your game time as far as you going home early or maxing out, because, you know, if you don't keep your hygienes up in that prison, they'll lock your behind up. Them officers smell you, man. They ain't with that. They ain't with that. Now, if you was in a position where you can buy hygienes, then they expect for you to buy hygienes. But if you was indigent and you could not afford it, they'll make sure that you had hygienes. They'll take you to that property room and they'll get you some good hygienes. I mean, the indigent hygienes were way better than our hygienes that we bought off the compound. But yeah, man, they would take them girls and they would make sure they had everything they need to make sure that them ladies was clean, man. Because I'm gonna tell you something. Prison, you know, maybe it's a place where we locked up and they hold us, but I mean, I can't really say that the people treat us like straight up animals and dogs, because I can't really say that I was treated like that. I've seen officers, lieutenants and captains and majors that actually care for inmates, that they will walk the compound and they be engaged in what was going on. And if they see an inmate hurting or, you know, like don't have anything, they actually stepped up to the plate. Now, I ain't saying all of them was good. And yeah, we all had some rough time. In 27 years, of course, I've had some run-ins with some officers, but I can truly say that majority of the officers there, man, yeah, they treated people like human beings. I don't really have anything bad to say about the officers, not even the ones that, you know, I kind of had a run-in with. But yeah, man, them officers, man, they care about us having them hygiene. So yeah, so I guess I hope I answered your question. Be blessed.
Before I get into this, I want to make a few things clear. Number one, this is based on my experience. Let me say that again. It's based on my experience. Number two, if your marriage and relationship made it past the incarceration stage, I love that for you. There's an exception to every rule. But don't downplay nobody else's experience who it didn't happen that way for. And for my girlies like me who it didn't happen that way for, God got something different in store for us. Hold your head up. And number three, no, I did not know this person prior to them being incarcerated. I guess if I did, maybe things would have played out differently, but I didn't. Just to give a little backstory, I met them in October of 2020. We dated, I guess if you want to call it that, until we got married in April of 2022, and then we were separated by January of 2023. He said that he had made a mistake and he didn't really want to get married and he wants to come home and be friends. So yeah, we have never experienced each other in the free world, nor did I know him in the free world prior to meeting him when he was already in prison. Now that we got that out of the way, thing number one is, if they love bomb you, if you don't know what love bombing is, go look it up. Just go ahead on and run. Just go ahead on and head out at that point. I'm talking about if they calling you 24/7, they writing you letters every day, they sending you cards every day, they having their relatives drop gifts off, all of that stuff, and they are doing it like every single day. And then all of a sudden it just stopped. For me, it stopped a year and a half into the relationship. When I asked why, it was, because what I need to do that for? Yeah, I should have ran in. The number two thing that I learned, listen to their family. Normally, whatever their family say about them is true. If their family say they got a temper problem, if their family say that they immature, if their family say, hey, they gonna come home and be in the streets, if their family say, hey, they're a hoe, believe all that. Thing number three, if they been in there, I'm gonna say longer than 5 years, because when I met him, he had been in there for 5 years. They didn't experiment it. Don't let them lie and say that they didn't. And see me, I knew the questions to ask, the things to do, the experiments, or the hypotheticals to put out there in the air to confirm it. And yes, I got proof. So it's not just a thought. I have proof. Thing number four, you are never the only one, especially if they're in there doing a long bid. You never know when you're going to fall off. So therefore, they're going to have a backup. So even if, you're the only person going to visit, even if it seemed like, he don't have enough time in the day to call somebody else, he got nothing but time. Or I monitor his money, he could write them. Just know it's always somebody else. Thing number five, don't spend on them what they can't spend on you. That's self-explanatory. I don't even need to elaborate. Thing number six, if y'all were not already in a relationship when they went in there, don't get into one while they in there. Get until they come out in a free world so you can experience them in a free world, because them being incarcerated is going to be a totally different them from them being in a free world. Thing number seven, I would have to say, daddy actually had taught me this one, low-key. Whatever age they go in that age, they stop growing developmentally. They could read all the books they want, they could watch all the TV that they want, they could research on the internet all they want. They're not out here in a free world living day-to-day experiences and experiencing like major things that we're experiencing to build character, to build trust, to build all these things. So they lack in certain areas. Mind you, his daddy was was in and out of prison. So him telling me that, yeah, I believe it. That's really all I can think of right now. I mean, if y'all have any questions, y'all can ask them. Like I said, no, we did not make it past the incarceration stage. He decided that he didn't want this, but that's because he knew he was making parole and he was coming home. That's when he decided he no longer wanted this. As long as he was in there and he was unsure about parole, he wanted it. But yeah, again, any questions, drop them in the comments. If y'all want a part 2, I got more, but that's it for now. Bye.
So after doing 11 years in prison, you better believe that I have definitely been strip searched thousands of times. Okay, like no joke. And I've experienced every kind of strip search there is. So, reasons to get strip searched. A, they feel like it. No, I'm just kidding, but no, seriously. B, shakedowns. C, the most common is visits. And then, of course, anytime you transfer. And when you first get to prison, you go to like the reception center. Like I went to Lowell. But the reception center, the idea of it is like everyone goes there, they kind of like get introduced to prison, and then you get sent to your actual compound. So you're getting stripped for sure. Now, what happens in a strip search? Okay, you're in a room with a lot of women, usually like at least 10 to 15 on a normal like bus, right? Transfer. And they tell everybody, okay, get naked. So everybody takes their clothes off, socks, everything. So I'm like, can I just leave my socks on? The floor is dirty. No, you have to take your socks off, which used to really annoy me. But then I like stand on my socks or like stand on my Crocs so that my feet are not touching the ground if I can avoid it, or even stand on my pants, But anyways, so first they'll like usually do it like in groups, right? So it's like the first like 3 people, they're like, okay, lift your arms, lift your boobs, lift your stomach. And I would just stand there with my arms up because there's nothing for me to lift. I don't have big titties or anything. So, and then it's like show behind your ears, both sides, then like flip your hair upside down, shake it out, and then turn around, left foot, right foot, like you're lifting your foot up, wiggling your toes, and then bend over, spread it, and cough. Cough again, cough harder. I want to see pink. Like those are literally words that officers have said to me. So you're like, because you just want to be over with it. Like you don't want to be the one person that they're like picking on because you're not doing it right. So you're just like, you're coughing. Okay. And not like just because you can try to like fake cough or you're just making the sound, but you're not really coughing. They're not stupid. So, but anyway, so, and then they're like, all right, you guys can get dressed or whatever. And then they move on to the next 3 people and they kind of just do it like in little groups going down. Unless there's like 2 officers and then like kind of knock it all out. Visitation could be a lot less people. It could be like 2 people, 3 people. I remember when I first was going to visitation, there was no dividers or anything, but then after a while at Gadsden they did put up these like gray dividers, so you would be like in between the dividers. But like if it's packed, you're still gonna have girls on the other side of you, and then they'll sometimes take you to this like other room and just like knock it out, because like it's the end of visitation, there's a lot of people, they want to just clear it out. And I really never cared, like let's just do it, like I just want to go back to the dorm, or I want to get into my visit, like whatever it is, I just want to go do whatever it is that I'm doing. And then when I worked rear gate, I had to get stripped every day, coming in and going out. But that was usually a little like more chill, like the going in one. They would just, sometimes they would just have you shake your clothes out, like untuck everything and just give it a good shake. Like they want to hear your bra strap back. And yeah, that's the glory of it. Now, something that's terrible is like if you're on your period, they don't care, and you have to take your tampon out and you have to squat and cough still. So I remember my first like ever transfer to Gadsden, because I've been there like a couple times, but like during one sentence, of course. But I remember the first time, this girl was bleeding so bad, and she was like 2 people down from me, and she was just dripping blood all over the floor, and then had to like grab napkins and like clean it up, and I was just like, poor girl. It's awful. It's just sad, yeah, plenty of strip searching going on out there, and you just really get used to it. And like, mind you guys, like we use the same showers. It's like one room, you walk, like not all compounds, but Gadsden on the compound, like not Foxtrot, it is just open showers. Like you just walk in, there's shower heads in there, and you're just like trying to shave your legs and like not get your face in someone else's like stream. You're like, excuse me, pardon me. So you're like very desensitized after a while. Like I would say after at least your first 2 weeks, you just don't care. You don't care anymore. But yeah, strip searching 101. I thought about, by the way, I did think about like getting someone to kind of act it out, but I felt like that was kind of inappropriate, like the bending over part. So I was like, no, I'm not gonna do that. But if you think I should, let me know and I'll make one of my friends do it. Lauren, maybe you, Logan, I don't know.
The craziest thing I ever saw in prison was I saw this girl, Jenna, get her literal head split open with a padlock. So let me tell you the story. So basically this lady, Beth Doty, she is a lifer. She's in there for murder. She was weird. She was quiet. And this girl, Jenna, I guess said that she was and Beth Doty was not. Now, I didn't hear the verbal part of the argument at all. But anyways, right after count, we had a fire drill. And fire drills are always so chaotic because people start dropping like flies. Like all the people who have seizures, they'll just be all over the ground seizing out. I don't know why they don't make a better like program for fire drills because there's so many people with seizures. Because when I tell you, like, you'll walk out and there will be 20 girls on the ground literally seizing out. Anyway, so after the fire drill, we all go back to our dorm and the COs are still trying to get stuff together, get the girls who are having seizures, make sure everyone's going back to their bed. And I'm sitting on my bed. I had a top bunk and the bay right next to me. You can see it. I see Beth Doty take this freaking sock and go up and just right in Jenna's head. Jenna's like kind of trying to fight back, but she's leaking. I mean, she is just, there is blood everywhere. People are trying to break it up. And finally the CO comes and just starts fucking pepper spraying everything. That's what they do. They don't care who's fighting, what's happening. They will literally empty their can of pepper spray on the whole dorm. They don't care. They are trigger happy when it comes to that pepper spray. So yeah, then they both got removed, and I am almost positive that Jenna probably has a scar on her head right here from that. I actually follow Jenna on Facebook. She seems to be doing really, really well after prison, so good on her. Beth Doty is still in prison. She's a weirdo. She is not what the girl said, but she is a freaking weirdo.
One of my co-workers were telling me about how he used to work in a jail and a prison. And he told me a very gruesome story about a time when this new guy was charged with double homicide. And I think he was in there for at least 30 years or something like that. And he found out that the other guy was in there for pedo charges. And he took a razor, right? And he cut this dude's ear off. Like, he cut all of this open. Like this right here. All of this was literally open. If he was eating, you could see like the food down in his like bones and everything. Like, you could see everything. It was literally gashed open. And he got life for that. Like, there are a lot of mentally ill people that go to prison. And then in prison, they commit even more crimes. All in the name of having a point to prove.
Prison and culture shock. Let's talk about it. All right? Prison is not like any corner, any neighborhood that you've ever been to. All right? And that's where it starts right away. All right? From the time that you walk in to general population, you are being assessed, addressed, sized up, and the sharks are swimming. All right? It is not a game. All right? And you be like, hey, look, I ain't here to have no trouble. I'm just here to do the Super Bowl shuffle. That shit ain't flying. All right? You may, for no reason whatsoever, other than just the color of your skin, be walking down, somebody pull you in a cell, and they fucking choke the shit out of you, talking about, hey, look, you got about 30 minutes to get on that phone and get $100 for me. Here's the green card. All right? This is how culture shock is. All right? It's not, oh, I can mind my business. Yes, you can mind your business. And some things like that won't happen to everybody, but things like that do happen all the time. All right? Prison is a culture shock. You think, oh, I'm from the hood. Man, listen, there's things in prison, I don't care what hood you're from, you're going to be like, what did that dude just say? I have no idea what he said. All right. I mean, I remember being a fresh young white guy. The first time I heard somebody refer to, was it a junk, a jank, a jit? What is that? I'm like, man, what are they even talking about? It's a whole nother language. My wife, to this day, she says, man, you speak a different language. It's English. I speak English. But the words that are represented are wrapped around something else. Some of it's pop culture. You know, in prison, they'll be like, you're the weakest link. Where did that come from? Okay, that came from the Weakest Link TV show. Pop culture. They might hear a little excerpt from a song. All of a sudden, that has a meaning. All right? So, you will be confused. All right? It's not the same. How can you learn to get along? My answer to that is observe. Observe and listen. Mind your P's and Q's, show respect. Show respect, show respect, show respect. All right? That's how you're going to get through prison. Build relationships. That's how you're going to get through prison. And observe. Keep your mouth shut. Just watch. All right? Stay in your lane. That's all I got for you, all right? Y'all, love somebody today.
I had been in prison in Dublin, California for about a year when I got transferred. Now, when they transfer you, they chain you and shackle you, and then they take you I was with another inmate. Her name was Diamond. And they take us on a bus to the landing strip, and the U.S. Marshals show up in Con Air. And when we get on Con Air, there's a bunch of men in the back. They separate us, and the women in the front. And the marshals are yelling at the men to shut up. And I hadn't been around men for like a year, so it was a little odd. We get on the plane, and they're catcalling and yelling. The marshals are telling them to knock it off. And then we get to Pahrump, same thing. We get on a bus, same thing. We go up to the detention center. Then they bus us back, and we get back on the plane. And then we ended up in Oklahoma at kind of an overflow place while they figured out where to transfer us all. It's so weird, the whole transferring thing. Anyway, the morning that they came to get me in Oklahoma, they put me and another girl in the bus, and there's about 30 guys in the back. And there's 2 officers up front. And I think there's a cage separating the officers from the inmates. And the guys start catcalling, and I was tired of it. And finally, about 5 minutes in, I turned around and I said, knock it off, you guys. If you want to talk to me, you need to be respectful. And the girl next to me, she's like, shh, what are you doing? And the guys quieted right down. And I turned around and I said, my name is Portia, but everyone calls me Louder. And then the other guys shared their nicknames. And I said, I'm serving a 7-year prison sentence. And I don't know where I'm going. They put me in the SHU to transfer me because I'm a blogger. And the guys started sharing a little bit about themselves. One guy, he's like, I got a 45-year prison sentence. Prison's going to be home for me for a long time. Another guy, he's like, I'm sleeping my time away. I sleep all day and I'm up all night. And we just talked. And then as we pulled up to the landing strip, there was this beautiful moment that we shared where the sun came up. And it was like this amazing sunrise, and it just made me feel so human. And it was like silence in the bus. And I realized there's something so human about all of us. No matter who we are or where we are, we share these common things. And it was this beautiful moment that we shared.
I actually really enjoyed her story. I think that regardless of where you are in life, there is always a moment when you feel human and when you can connect with other people, regardless of where you are in life. Either in jail, in prison, in school, at work, in an Uber, at a party. Life is about human connection. And once you get that, regardless of where you are, that is the most beautiful thing.
You're right. Things can go left. You taught me everything I know, OG, including how to deal with combat. But that's besides the point. Because after all, like I first came in saying, we here for peace. We mean that. Yeah, ain't no ulterior motive, ain't no game. We just want peace. We mean that. And we gonna hold up our end of the bargain. We can trust y'all to do the same, right? You could trust us for a couple of different reasons. One, we most definitely gonna hold up our end of the bargain. But trust and believe that if y'all don't, we gonna set it on y'all. I mean that. We good, OG? First and foremost, just as nephew stated, we will uphold our end of the bargain, if you will. But I swear by my 29 winters in concurrence of his thoughts that if anyone crosses any line, well, We will make sure that they understand that there were consequences stated in this moment. Do you understand? Lock it down. Lockdown. Time for count. Let's go, and I don't want to hear any complaints. You got 30 seconds to get off those phones over there. Well, I'm glad we got an understanding. We'll be seeing y'all around. Me too. And you most definitely will. For sure. And thanks again, OG. Good to see you again.
I appreciate you guys watching the video today. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below. And I'll see you guys in the next video.